Google announced their recent phones, and I guess I am disappointed quite a bit. Their starting prices are 800 and 900 for the small and the larger one. So there are some certain upgrades that were supposed to happen anyway because we are talking about the next generation phone, and they're asking pretty much flagship prices. So I expect flagship phones, right? Um, so the phones do not bring a lot of things. What they bring, other than upgraded RAM and other than upgraded CPU to Snapdragon 855 and from 4 gigs to 6 gigs of RAM, they are bringing 90 hertz refresh rate, which is nice. I think that's something that people are more and more in need of for fluidity, not just for gaming, for application fluidity. The second thing is they integrate some sort of a radar at the front screen apparently, so you can basically make hand gestures and go forward or backwards on Spotify and such, or just when your hand is reaching over your phone, your alarm might go down and such. This is some feature that doesn't really exist much, so I'm gonna say that yes, this is an addition as well. So other than the internal hardware upgrade, the 90 hertz and the sensor at the front, there is also now another camera at the back. That's another upgrade. It's not wide, but it's actually something that would zoom in more. Apparently, that's what Google people thought about, that people want to zoom in much more than actually have a wide angle camera. Okay. Um, and a different design, or kind of a clean design, let's say. It's a further improvement. There is no fingerprint area at the back, so it's now a cleaner design. There's still wireless charging, of course, and such. And that's it. Now, there's no headphone jack. Now I'm talking about the negatives. Still, of course, it's not gonna come back. There's no micro SD card slot, and might not come back or come at all in the future. And there's no increase in storage capacities. So the 8 to 900 is for the 64 gigabytes of memory, and if you wanna take the 128 gigabytes of storage, you have to pay $100 extra. So let's say I want to have a phone that should be able to get my 4K pictures and videos and some software. I'm limited to the maximum of 128 gigabytes of storage in 2019 and now carrying over into 2020. And that would be $1,000. That is the same flagship prices you see now in those other famous phones that have at least 128 gigabytes of memory. Gone is the other front camera. So apparently there were two front cameras. There used to be a notch. So again, I guess we can say as a positive, notch is gone, but actually it's kind of a negative. I can't believe I'm saying this, but the elimination of the notch made it actually now worse. So we used to have phones without notch, and to give more screen estate, Apple invented, in a sense, I guess, notch, and others followed, and Google followed, and now there were notifications and two sides of the screen that can be close to the edge, so that we gain anything underneath. And if you are watching video, there's some cut, of course, part, but also some more usage of the front area. So without a notch, they completely have now that area devoted to electronics, which is one camera down from two, and has the infrared and this now radar sensor for making those gestures. But there is Face ID, okay, but there is no more any fingerprint reader. So there is no fingerprint reader on screen or anywhere. Okay, so they are making an apple here. They're pulling an apple. Um, I guess unlocking the phone with face is, yes, it's if it works, it will be a faster way of doing it. But they have now removed that fingerprint reading capabilities. And in terms of screen size, pretty much the same for the XL, 6.3 for the regular one, 5.7 from 5.5 increase. And asking these prices for these editions, to me, it's kind of disappointing. So just like from that radar technology that was described, I'm just solidifying this idea that Google is using their new hardware products experimentally. In other words, they are introducing stuff to see how it goes. I'm not sure if they ever consider to reach big masses, because their prices are not cheaper than competition, and what they bring to table is some improvement, which is it's another year of release, but it is nothing exciting, to be honest. Waving the Pikachu figure and the Pikachu waving you back is not really a groundbreaking addition to a phone, I would say. Which means I believe Google is simply saying that, hey, since we are such a good software company, let's add to our portfolio some hardware and see how our software integrates with it and collect data from the use cases and improve our software even further. In other words, I think they are thinking of these consumer electronics in terms of phones and such, just a hardware ground for them to look at what's happening within the consumer market and shape their software, and maybe get some patents, and then can either use those patents or sell or lease those patents and etc. I don't think they care a lot of mass acceptability or expanding the hardware ecosystem or their brand name among consumers, because otherwise I cannot explain why the price is high like that. I know their cameras are, even with the single camera, that phone was commended a lot, but it's still, the optical capabilities are still fixed, so you can't really have wide angle. So there could have been a third camera, because now they have a giant square at the back, but they don't do that. The battery size is a slight increase for the XL. I think it's pretty much the same for this smaller one, and it is just average in terms of size. So of course there is no bloatware. This is a plus too. But asking $800 and no expandable storage with 64 gigs of RAM, or sorry, the storage and 900 for the bigger one, that's a lot of money. It's not something that you can expect every people to just rush from every economical segment, but rather somebody who is thinking of, should I get a Note 10 or an S10 or Huawei this P30 Mate or Pro versions and such? Should I now consider a Pixel? And I highly doubt they should, because there isn't much of excitement in these releases. And numbers will, of course, either tell that I'm correct or not. You'll see how much more or less they are sold from the news. But at least I commend them for keeping wireless charging, because I think it should be incorporated into more, in fact, like all phones. Now that we are losing headphone jack, at least we should be able to have, pads laying around more and more, and that technology improving, so that we have, I guess, just single port USB Type-C for everything. Yeah, that's the way the trend goes. But in terms of technology, there is not much excitement going on. There's so much area at the top. I wish they at least kept that second camera so that you have, again, two different optical capabilities to have selfies. There is no 4K 60 FPS recording still, and we are going to enter 2020. In fact, they probably they don't have it because that would occupy more space in their files, and they don't support micro SD card. Why? Is it because they don't have micro SD hardware production themselves and don't want to make Samsung or Kingston and other companies money out of it, or what? Or we know that it can't be just IP68 rating, which the phone has nicely, because phones with SD cards can have the same rating. Yeah, I mean, just like Microsoft Surface lineup, which I found disappointing. I think now companies think because their brands, their names are so famous, they are so well known that they can just make some upgrades in between and push it and call it a day, basically, which is what's being done. So 2019, I would say, is not an exciting year for at least cell phone technology, and maybe in general in the computer consumer market. Yeah, I would, if I had money, half that price, I can just go for some Chinese brand and get the same, if not better, hardware. Yes, I might be sacrificing the lack of bloatware and or simplicity of design, and maybe some camera software capabilities, and yes, I'll be sacrificing some upgrades of operating system, but we'll be paying less. So, thanks.